Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the accesstrading.com, a nightly wrap-up show. So, today was a very quiet day, right? Today was a very quiet day, and we had a really good long discussion. I mean, again, one of the benefits being in the live webinar, it's just not as simple or as just easy as talking about, well, if Google breaks this number, it should go higher. If Amazon breaks down, it should go lower. It's all the intangibles, right? Intangibles are what makes us human beings, good people, bad people. Intangibles, what makes us good traders, bad traders. And the one constant that goes through the life of a trader or the shelf life of a trader is understanding when to push and understanding when to scale back. And the one common denominator, we always talk about what makes a good trade. I mean, what makes a good trade? And everybody's definition of a good trade is different because everybody trades different things. But the one thing, well, one of the things that everybody can agree on when you are considered a trader who is making money for a living clicking a mouse is that you're consistent. You're consistent. And one of the biggest things with consistency is having the ability to sometimes say no. And that's why a lot of times you always hear me talk about in the room, is the trade worth it? Is the trade worth it? Is everything lining up? Is all the variables lining up? So say, for example, today, right? Take, for example, today. We had a market, we're having a market that is unusually weird. And what I mean by weird is it's obviously very bullish, okay? But there are many dead zones in this market. And sometimes you'll have a full day of one big dead zone. And I really haven't come across a market like this in a very long time, because usually what you'll have is a very strong market and very good action. We have a very weak market and still very good action, depending on what your trading style is to the downside. But we're having a market right now that is very strong internally, right? You can't really make an argument. The worst bear on the planet, the biggest bear on the planet, it's very hard for them to turn around and say this is a bearish tape or the market's fluff. It's just very strong right now. So we're seeing a tape right now that's strong. The internals are strong, but the action right now is lacking a lot of luster. And it's almost at the point of you're almost expecting to have zero expectations going to the today and going to the trading day. And whatever comes right before you as well, that's a gift. And if it falls into your lap and it makes business sense and it falls into your spotlight of your process, then you trade and you should do well. The problem is right now those days are very sporadic. Okay, yesterday we had a lot of very aggressive moves, right? A lot of pivots, a lot of aggressive moves. And today was just like a graveyard, literally a graveyard. And again, you could turn around and say, well, the NASDAQ composite was down a point, the S&P was down a point, the Dow was up 30 points. But again, does anybody really put a lot of stock in the Dow considering it's only 30 components? So you can make a case that everything was flat, but when you have a flat market in an inside day, and that's exactly what we had. We had an inside day. If you look at the S&P 500, right? We had an inside day. Okay, we had an inside day after the market broke out 52-week highs, all-time highs, and closed above 20,000 and closed above this 2282 area the first time. We had an inside day. Didn't take out the highs, didn't take out the lows, smaller volume. This is called a rest day. But what happens is on a rest day, traditionally, stocks are supposed to catch up. Price action is supposed to catch up the indexes. That's what happens all the time. Usually indexes will pull up even the biggest dreck, right? The biggest crap on the earth, and they will be viable, they will be tradable. We didn't get that today. We didn't get that today. We had very subpar ranges, for the exception of Amazon, which again, just comes out of nowhere. But for the exception of Amazon, the market today was very less than enthusiastic. And the one thing we talk about is patience, right? And I even tweeted this, and I said the one thing you can't do, you could buy anything, right? You could have millions and millions of dollars, you can be wealthy beyond your means, and whatever the case may be, but the one thing you can't buy, right, in this stock, well, there's a few things you can't buy. You can't buy time, right? You can't buy time. We don't know when our number's up, unfortunately. And you can't buy patience, right? You can't buy patience. These are the only two things you can't acquire in the world. You can't acquire time and you can't acquire patience. And the one thing that I always stress, okay, always stress in the room, you guys hear me talk about this all the time, is the importance of playing that premium hand. It's not the first time I've said it. I say it constantly because it's a tremendous reminder that the internet, okay, the social media internet, the social media quote unquote trading community is not trading. It's the social media trading community. And for those of us, and again, you guys heard my conversation with one of my buddies who's a pretty big trader and documented pretty big trader, and you guys know who he is. Everybody's just doing nothing. Everybody's doing nothing. Yeah, if you're on social media and you're trading some stock that some avatar is pumping for 3 cents, yeah, it's great, it's fantastic. But for the most part, the market was completely dead. I mean, really, really dead. And I included an interview. And a lot of you guys have seen this interview. It was me and my mentor, Meyer Hoffman. And again, when people talk about best traders or good traders, this is the guy. I mean, this is the guy. He was one of the pioneers of the day trading world, and it started 25 years ago. And this is the guy who is documented of training and mentoring tons of guys, tons of my friends, and we were all in there together. And when you're learning from a guy like that, the way to kind of really digest things and kind of look at the market, it starts to rub off. It starts to rub off on you. And the one thing I always tell everybody, the couple of gifts that I really wish I can give to you guys is my ability to kind of say no, right? My ability to say no, and really believe that the overall long-term prospects of everything, all the hard work that you're putting in behind the scenes is going to pay off in the long term. And we teach, well, I hate using the word teach, but we really portray the word longevity. We really try to drive the point home, longevity. So when it's a very quiet day, instead of leaving and going, shopping for your dog's mittens or your fish's, I don't know, fish bowl, sit and watch order flow. Sit, watch order flow. You don't get those precious hours back. You don't get that precious screen time back. These are all the things going to help you out down the road. And the one concept that I keep on reminding everybody, inactivity is not weakness, guys. Inactivity is a sign of maturity. Inactivity is a sign of you saying, you know what, I'm not going to play the 4-9 offsuit. I'm not going to play the 2-6 offsuit. I'm going to wait for my queens. I'm going to wait for my kings. I'm going to wait for my aces. When I get those aces, that's when I'm going to strike. And I'm going to strike with very, very aggression, very, very aggressive overtones. So I included the video with Meyer. It's only 20 minutes, guys. Everything that I say, it was really subconsciously, really fed into me years ago, years and years ago. And, it's just something that I really encourage you guys to embrace. Again, maturity is the ability to say to yourself, my money is not being spent well. If my money's not being spent well, it's better to leave my money in my pocket or somebody else's. Because again, trading is not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a fundamental exercise. It's the ability to feed your family. If you can't get those good hands, what's the point of playing, right? So I included the video. We had great lengthy discussions today in the room. I get tons of great feedback. Really tons of great feedback. Every single day, I talk to people, the text messages, the emails, and phone calls and stuff. And it's really great to hear that, again, one of the greatest gifts that I gave to somebody is saying no, is just saying no. And it's really that simple, but yet it's the hardest thing you could possibly do as a trader. So again, stay focused, don't get complacent, have your game, have your game sharp, have your mind sharp, and always wait for the premium hands. After the close, slew of earnings came out, the biggest earnings day. You had Alphabet, AKA Google. I can't call it Alphabet, but they say it's Alphabet, right? So you had Google coming out with earnings. Again, a little bit of disappointing numbers, but again, the company is not blaming production. It's not blaming sales. It's blaming, well, you could say blaming. We're using an excuse. They're saying, well, their earnings kind of got hit with the higher tax bill. Okay, that's cool. Okay, and if you look at shares, and if you look at shares of Google, they're not down 50, they're not down 60, they're not down 70, they're down 18 bucks, 18 bucks. So if you look at what the market is telling you, the market is still telling you is we're willing to hold these prices. We're willing to hold these prices. So I think going into tomorrow, I would not be shocked. First of all, I think tomorrow we'll have good action because you have great ranges. You have all the high beta, all the beta names down after the close, not a lot, but that's going to create an opportunity for us tomorrow at a certain sneaky point, within the first 2 candles tomorrow, maybe catch a reversal in Amazon, maybe catch a reversal in Google. Hell, I wouldn't be shocked if Google goes green tomorrow and goes up 50. Would you? The market is telling you it's only down 18 points after a huge run up, right? After a huge run up. I mean, Google is ran just from December, it's gone from 778 to 850. To the 850 is only down 8 to 20 points after the close. So it would not shock me if we get a good value play tomorrow. And a lot of hitting these betas. I will be looking at Google tomorrow. I will be looking at Tesla tomorrow, and I will be looking at Amazon. I think that's all you need. You realistically need for tomorrow to kind of achieve your goals for the day. But going into tomorrow, I mean, good action. If this was years ago and these gorillas would be missing. Again, Intel, Microsoft, decent numbers, helped by PC sales. And again, we don't know how long that's going to last because you don't hear that. You don't hear that too often these days. But Intel, Microsoft, decent numbers. Google, Starbucks, not so much. But overall, SPYs are flat. Futures are basically flat, a little lower in the after-hour session. So tomorrow we could have again sustained strength. The only thing good that we're going to get tomorrow is a potential for a very good red to green scenario. So we'll talk about that obviously tomorrow morning at Morning Strategy, guys. So get there tomorrow early at 9 a.m. I think we'll definitely have a lot better range plays than we did today. So everything's on watch tomorrow. Google, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, Netflix, they're all on watch, red to green, but especially Google and Amazon and Facebook. A lot of call activity, back-to-back 135, 140s, aggressively being bought over the last several sessions. Make a long story short, yeah, I like those plays a lot. Some other names I want to watch for tomorrow. So SWKX had this really, really big move, right? Had this really, really big move, for the last 3-4 days. And now it's just kind of slowly getting into this rising support. Okay, this rising support is roughly this, roughly this 90, 80 area. So basically we're closed. So if we get a flush tomorrow, we get a washout on SWKS and it goes red to green, it should be bought with using the low of the day as a stop. So I really like this play. It could be a good value play there. Some small cap names that look good. LGCY, tempted to break out, take pretty good volume. I think a break above today's high looks pretty decent. This MYOS was a big runner only a couple of weeks ago. Okay, only a couple of weeks ago, and you can see how it stopped here perfectly at the linear regression line, roughly around this 350 area. All it needs to do, in my opinion, is to just reclaim and build over this 350 area to go again. DELT looks very, very interesting. Another former runner from a couple of weeks ago. Again, broke this range, stopped at the lower, at the rising Bollinger Band, put in a high of 84. If it reclaims the 84, who knows? Maybe it does have a run to the 220 level. Keep an eye on that. CBMX, it's flagging. It's flagging pretty nicely. It's flagging pretty nicely. Again, a lot of people will be looking at this 390 level. I think there's a sneaky pivot here. And again, I don't mind sharing with anybody. I think there's a sneaky pivot that if you can, get a base of 360, 365, you can get a sneaky move back to the 390 before most of the traders even realize what's going on. But again, you want to see the volume. You definitely want to see the volume. And I want to keep an eye on this little stock, VSTM. Looks interesting as well. Again, Roberto gave us a heads up today in the room. The last 2 out of 3 days, big volume going to the supply. If it could just reclaim the supply here at 138, 140, you could get a move to the 200-day EMA. So tomorrow should be a busy day, guys. Get a good night's sleep. It will be all about the ranges tomorrow. And see what we can sneak and what we can confirm on those ranges. So guys, again, God bless you. Keep working. Stay mentally sharp. You're going to have dead zones in your trading career. But again, the most important part is, again, would you rather be bored and rich or bored and broke, right? Very easy to determine which is the right thing to do. So guys, have a great night, everybody. Get some sleep, and God's help. I'll see you tomorrow.